My name is Meghan Block and I'm the owner of Boston Moms. I also have 3 children. I have a 7-year-old son, a 4.5-year-old son, and a 1-year-old daughter, and I live on the South Shore. My husband and I were young parents. I met my husband in high school. We're actually high school sweethearts. We knew we wanted to have children young because both of our sets of parents are pretty young, and we really liked that style. In retrospect, it was my easiest birth by far of the 3 children. And at the end of it, we have photos of me like standing there holding him, which is hilarious because with my other experiences, that definitely wasn't the case. I call him my trick baby because of that. For my second son, my husband was still in the military, and same thing, we were really trying to plan as best as we could. My pregnancy was pretty uncomplicated, and then my husband's schedule got switched around, and so he was set to be out to sea, and the morning I turned 36 weeks, I'm pretty sure I woke up with an excruciating headache. I knew something was wrong, and I went to the doctor, and I kind of like blissfully ignorant, like my previous labor and my previous pregnancy was so uncomplicated that I was just like, it's gonna be fine. And at that appointment, my doctor just looked at me and just said, Megan, you're gonna have a baby today. You have extreme preeclampsia. So that was terrifying because my husband was legitimately under the water somewhere. I didn't even know, in the military, you don't know where they're at. So I sat there in shock, and he said, like, you need to go right now. Like, okay, I have to have a baby today. Like, my son's at preschool. Who's gonna take care of him? Who's gonna get a message to my husband? Can we even get a message to the boat? He's on a submarine, so they're under the water. Who's gonna take me to the hospital? Who's gonna be there? Is my mom gonna be able to get down from Massachusetts to Connecticut to be with me? So I called my best friend, who was another Navy wife, and she just like called in the troops, like the legit troops. Our community of Navy wives, they stepped in, and no, I can't even, actually gives me chills when I think about it now. So she came to pick me up. 2 of my best friends stepped in to take care of my son. The person who's the liaison basically between the families and the boat was actually one of my dear friends also, and she got a Red Cross message to the boat at the time, and it was just like serendipitous that the boat had been close to the surface to be able to receive that message. And then we had a fabulous captain who was super family friendly at that time too, and he was able to coordinate for my husband to get off of the boat. So literally a transfer in the ocean, get him to land. He took 2 planes, rented a car, and got home to us in Connecticut. In that same time, I'm being induced. I had magnesium because I had preeclampsia so horribly, and my best friend was with me, and my mom got there shortly after. So he made it to us about 10 hours before my son was actually born. We were very, very fortunate. We had no NICU time. My son was super healthy, but that was very difficult because, I went into it thinking I was gonna give birth without my husband. Then he showed up, and there's a whole range of emotions involved in all of that. And then I had a pretty significant amount of trauma after that, physically and mentally, just because the whole thing was just, it was crazy. And it was that day, that was when I was like, I think we can't do this as a family anymore. We can't do the military thing. Like, it wasn't just that he was gonna miss the baby's birth, because that was always something that could happen, and we knew that as a military family. But it was that I thought I legitimately was going to die, and he wasn't gonna be there. So that was really hard. It took me a while to get over that. I think the trauma, it was most significant after my 3rd pregnancy. We had some scary genetic results that we thought might impact our lives forever. They didn't, but that was very difficult for my husband and I to get through, especially while being violently ill every single day. Well, it wasn't even just a difficult 9 months, it was a difficult 6 months after that, honestly. So there's a lot. I think I'll be unpacking some of that stuff for the rest of my life. But one of my doctors came back and visited me a couple days later, because I stayed in the hospital for a while after my birth, and I was very, very sad coming off the high of the birth and definitely full of hormones. And she said, just because your ending was a happy one doesn't mean it wasn't a traumatic one. And like, I've said that now to women that I know who have had similar experiences, or even just that it didn't work out the way they thought it would, that labor and delivery or the birth or even just the entrance to motherhood wasn't exactly what they thought it was, that even though their ending was a happy one, it still was traumatic. I think like allowing a mother to feel that way and to speak it into existence is just it's like the only way you could possibly start to heal. I had pretty much said to my husband, even before I was hospitalized on bed rest, that like I felt like I was gonna need some extra care after this because I knew what had happened after my second son was born. But it took me a long time to get myself to therapy after that because I had 3 kids, I had 2 jobs, had a house to manage, all these other things. And I also kept leaning into I should be happy because I have what I want. And so it took me months to get into therapy. And my first visit with my therapist, she just was like, we're gonna sit here and we're gonna validate every feeling that you have so that you can leave here and at least feel like you should feel this way. And I think most of the time for me as a mom, and I think for a lot of moms, just giving that validation is like a little bit of medicine in itself.